If you ever found yourself just drowning in a sea of academic papers, trying to connect the dots between dozens of different documents, you know the struggle is very, very real. Well, today, we're going to dive into a new system that's designed to completely change that. It turns a powerful AI into your own personal autonomous research assistant. So here's our game plan. We'll start with the big problem this whole thing is trying to solve. Then we'll look at the autonomous approach it takes. We'll pop the hood and see how its agentic engine works. Spotlight 3 key innovations that really make it special. And then we'll wrap up by looking at what's next. All right, so let's kick things off by framing the problem that, let's be honest, we're all a little too familiar with. Just how hard and time-consuming a proper literature review can be. I mean, this question probably hits a little too close to home for any researcher, engineer, or student out there, right? We spend countless hours digging through papers, trying to extract and compare and synthesize information. And sure, AI tools promise to help, but they often just don't cut it. And this right here is the reason why so many standard AI tools fail. Most of them use a basic approach called RAG, or Retrieval-Augmented Generation. But here's the catch. They suffer from what's called semantic flattening, which basically means the AI sees a research paper as just one giant wall of text. It has no clue that the methods section is different from the results section. It also has this single hot myopia. It just can't connect the dots from one idea in one paper to a related idea in another. And worst of all, there's a hallucination risk, where it just makes stuff up that sounds really convincing but is totally wrong. So how do we fix this mess? We build something smarter. And that's where the solution comes in. A system called Deep Agent RAG. And the core idea here is a total game changer. Instead of just grabbing some text and spitting out an answer, this system works on a plan-execute-verify cycle. It actually thinks like a researcher. First, it makes a plan. Then it carries out that plan step by step. And then, and this is so important, it fact-checks its own work. So just imagine giving an AI a query like this. For you or me, this would be a nightmare. We'd spend hours, maybe days, carefully reading and taking notes. But for a system like this, it's a solvable problem. And here's how it would go about it. First, it would plan to find the method section in every single one of those 20 papers. Next, it would extract just the learning rate values. After that, it would analyze everything it found and synthesize it into a nice, clean comparison. And finally, it would verify that every number it gives you is pulled directly from the source text. Okay, that's the what. Now, let's get under the hood and look at the how. How does this agentic engine actually work? All right, here's the big picture. Now, I know this diagram might look a little complex at first, but don't worry. It's actually organized into 3 main parts that all work together in this really powerful loop. We're going to use this as our roadmap for the next few minutes. So we can really boil this whole system down to these 3 core components. You've got the data pipeline, which gets all the documents ready. Then you have the agent core, which is like the brain of the whole operation. And finally, the verification loop, which acts as the system's own personal fact-checker. Let's start at the beginning with the data pipeline. Its entire job is to take those raw, kind of messy PDF files and turn them into a super-structured knowledge base that the AI can actually understand and search through effectively. And this process is really clever. First, it parses a PDF, but it doesn't just grab the text. It figures out the logical sections. Then comes what's called semantic chunking. And the key insight here is that a single chunk of text will never contain a mix of text from, say, the methods and the results sections. This is critical for preventing confusion. And finally, all these clean, section-aware chunks get stored in a vector database, just waiting to be searched. So once the data is prepped and ready to go, we move to the heart of the system, the agent core. This is where all the real thinking, planning, and doing happens. It's all orchestrated by a team of specialized AI agents. You can think of it like a little high-performing project team. You've got the planner agent, which is like the project manager laying out the whole strategy. Then there's the orchestrator agent. That's your lead engineer, the one who actually calls on different tools to get the job done. And then you've got the grader agents, which are basically the quality assurance team, constantly checking the work as it's being done. And this brings us to what might be the most important component of all, the verification loop. This is a system's built-in guarantee that every answer it gives you isn't just plausible, but provably accurate. And what's so critical here is that it runs a dual test. First, there's a hallucination test. It checks every single claim to make sure it's grounded in the source text. No made-up fact allowed. But that's not enough. Then it runs a relevance test, which asks, okay, this fact is true, but does it actually answer the user's question? Because, an answer can be totally true, but completely useless. And this loop is designed to catch exactly that. So now that we understand the architecture, let's zoom in on the 3 key innovations that really set this system apart from all the standard approaches out there. The first big innovation is that section-aware ingestion we talked about. A standard RAG system just sees a paper as one long, flat text file. But this deep agentic RAG system actually understands its structure. This means you can ask it questions scoped to a very specific part of the paper. Like, hey, can you summarize just a conclusion for me? That is a massive leap in comprehension. Second is its amazing hybrid tool suite. The orchestrator agent isn't stuck with just one move. It can search the local papers you've uploaded. Sure, but it can also go out to archive to find brand new research. And this part is huge. It is a Python interpreter. It can actually run code to verify mathematical claims or even generate a plot from data it finds in a paper. And the third innovation is this idea of using a mix of specialized models. See, this system doesn't rely on just one single, one-size-fits-all AI. It strategically uses the right tool for the right job to get the best performance. So for the really complex planning and tool use, it taps Clo 3.5 Haku, which is fantastic at that. But for generating smooth, human-like summaries, it can switch to a faster model like GPT 4.1 and Mini. It just makes the whole system way smarter and more efficient. So what does this all add up to? Well, this architecture isn't just a finished product. It's really a foundation for an even more powerful future. And the roadmap ahead is incredibly exciting. Soon, we could see it integrate something called GraphRag, which would let it understand the whole network of citations and authors. It could also get Visual RAG, allowing it to literally see and interpret the charts and figures in a paper, not just a text. I mean, imagine asking an AI to describe the trend you're seeing in Figure 3. That's exactly where this is all heading. And that really drives home the potential, doesn't it? It all leads us to this final thought. If you had an assistant that could read, understand, and verify information across hundreds of scientific papers in an instant, what's the first groundbreaking question you would ask it?